What's up, guys? Welcome back to the TCG Scrubs podcast. I'm Oscar, and with the usual guys, Colin, Joey.
Hey, guys.
Hello.
Yep.
It's actually Team ARG Colin.
Team ARG Colin. I kind of moved on from that. But as usual, the podcast is brought to us by two different support people, I guess you could say. Happy Little Hug Factory, who you can visit their website and buy some singles, check out their Buylist, pre-order the new products coming out here in next month, which I expect that we get, what's it called, spoilers, right? We haven't seen that yet. But definitely visit them. Visit link in the description below and check out what they have. And to our patrons who help keep a lot of this going everywhere, as well as just the channel going in general. They support not just the podcast, everything across the board. And you can become a patron as well. Just visit patreon.com/TCG Scrubs and get some cool rewards depending on the tiers you pick.
Yeah, we're about to. That's one of our. Yeah, one of our patrons.
Can you show that again?
No.
I know I missed it. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's
okay.
I like it.
That's from our highest tier. You get your choice of any two colors for a playmat or a T-shirt, and so we'll be sending that out tomorrow. But and real quick, one thing I want to mention on Happy Little Hug Factory is you mentioned they have the pre-orders for the new product, which you can get booster boxes for the new Valhalla, and it's only $80 on there. And the star decks are $15 each, but if you get all 5 star decks at once, you get it all for a flat rate of $65, which saves. Basically, you get a starter deck for $5 at the end of that. And also, if you guys are into Caster Chronicles at all, make sure you go over there and support Caster Chronicles so that hopefully they are able to keep carrying it in the future.
Yeah. Should be good.
Okay.
But speaking of reasons to go buy some Happy Little Hug Factory cards, we finally filmed some games you guys get to check out here soon, and then you can pick up some of the cards we run in there from Happy Little Hug Factory. I'm pretty excited about the epic story just because I totally creamed Colin in it.
You did cream, first off.
I did.
Second off, Oscar went super try hard.
Third off, I just ran a deck
guys.
I had.
Third off,
Colin's because he didn't have the cards to finish the deck he wanted to run.
Yeah, I was using an old deck that a lot of my decks are designed for multiple opponents, and Oscar's is very clearly designed for one-on-one. So it was yeah.
Mine's designed for all ways.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure it works just as good if you got to split that damage up.
I flood the field. That's it. I flood the field. Joey was the elf deck.
Okay, I remember that.
The deck I'm building that Oscar will get me the remaining cards. I'm actually really excited about because it's going to be super fun to play. One of the reasons I'm excited to play it is because I was looking at it and I had genuinely no memory of what the point of the deck was, but it looks super cool. And I was looking at it and I was like, man, I must have had a really cool idea for this. Well, I'm running that resonator. Oh, all these resonators have a theme, but I'm not quite sure what is the engine behind why I'm running that theme. So I'm curious to find out why I'm doing that once I put the deck together. So I'm pretty excited for that. Or if we do an epic stories on Lackey, it's already built on Lackey.
And to any of our patrons or anybody who wants to be a patron, we actually have a game lined up with somebody because that's one of the tiers to play a game with us, and we're gonna do some epic stories games, which would be pretty fun.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for that.
That'll be coming up next month that we do that.
So, speaking of my Twitter account that you guys should follow at ARGColin.
How many tweets you got?
I still got 2. I forgot that I was going to do another tweet. Here.
And you forgot.
Here, I'll do one now. I'll do one now. You keep talking. I'll do a tweet right now. This is going to be my third ever
make sure
tweet.
your tweet isn't like, "Hey guys, I'm doing the TCG Scrubs podcast," because I don't know if they would like that, Colin.
I don't think I can.
Anyway. For the week, we do have some cool, interesting news. We don't have a lot of the information for it, but we'll be going over the GP that happened in Japan. This is Tokyo. Why did I make that note? I don't even know what that means. I said Sherry Band, but it's not a band. I think Colin brought it up.
No. Yeah. You want me to bring that up?
No. We'll talk about it when we get there. And then our ruler of the week, which I think we took into consideration the fact that rotation's in about 2 months, so we'll be saying goodbye to this ruler soon, and that's going to be Charlotte.
You can't just spoil the ruler of the
yes.
week.
Yes, you can. Now
it's going to be in the thumbnail.
This podcast would be worth sitting through. I'll sit through it. Before they wouldn't know they want to sit through it or not.
But yeah, so so there's two separate themes regarding the Sherry and the Sherry. Well, no. There's one separate thing. So we'll first talk about the GP that happened, and it leads into that.
Okay. So for starters, actually, before we jump into that GP, because there was a GP, I think people were saying Jeff was going to do the Q&A stream Saturday night.
Oh, yeah.
So as a result, we didn't do our little Q&A get-together thing that we had told you guys about the previous week. We're like, oh, let's not interfere. Let everybody watch that Q&A. And then it didn't happen. And now it's like, well, can we do it next week even? Because are they going to try to delay it to that weekend? So we'll see. I don't know when we're going to do it now.
He did. I was talking to Jeff, and he said that he was thinking about maybe doing it during the week. And so I was like, oh, yeah, no, that'd be great. One, it's great, and I told him it'd be great because it's way easier for me to do the summary video during the week than the weekend. But I don't know if I'm trying to think. I know for like me and Oscar, it really doesn't matter if it's the week as far as listening and stuff. But I'd be curious what like the general populace, if it's better on the week or weekend for him to do that. But if he ends up doing that during this week, then it'll be much easier also for us to do our live on the weekend.
I was telling
Friday.
I was telling Oscar that the only reason he was doing it on Friday was that he had caught wind we were doing our Q&A on Friday on Saturday, and he was trying to pull our viewers all. It's like, I need to upstage these TCG Scrubs guys.
and then we were like, all right, we're not going to do it. And he's like, okay, I'm going to wait and see when they are actually doing it.
Now check the comment section. You'll see a message from Jeff like, you guys are crazy.
Jeff, if you're listening, you should come back on the podcast sometime.
Don't bad.
Did you guys ever watch Jimmy Kimmel and how he always takes that shot and it becomes a joke now at is it Matt Damon? That's now our equivalence is Jeff.
Yeah.
Come back to the podcast, Jeff. Anyways, to the GP, the reason why y'all probably here. Ruler breakdown: total of 59 players. 19 were Sheherazade, 13 Lumias, 6 Kyrix. I'm guessing there's a tie between the Aimo, Feyre, and Scarlet were each 3 ofs. Mikage and Rhea were each 2. And then 1 ofs for Ayu, Gil, the Kaguya from RDE, Shayla, and 0.
Okay.
0.
Hold on, let me do some math while you guys talk.
Okay, well, I'm going to go straight to top 8. Top 8 ends up being 6 Sheherazade, 1 Ayu, and 1 Lumia. Now, the reason why I was like, oh, there won't be too much time, because it's already becoming old. It's like, yeah, Sheherazade did it. It topped again.
Well, I mean, Ayu snuck into top 8, though. That's pretty good.
I was honestly looking at Ayu as like she was done already. But even in our ARG, we had an Ayu make top 4 at least.
Yeah. I had mentioned, I think, like, she's super, super easy to counter if you have the correct card set, specifically like Sherry and stuff. But I think, especially with some of her new tools, she definitely was able to maintain. If they didn't introduce any new tools, she would have dropped off hard. But I think a lot of things, new cards that came out, end up being very helpful. Mm-hmm. The math I was doing is Sheherazade was 32% of the total card pool, but took up whatever that percent, 85% of the top 8. Right? I'm not sure the math of that, but 6 out of the top 8.
It's a little below 80%.
Now I gotta break out my freaking calculator.
Right? Because
6 times 100.
8 out of 10 would have been 80%.
Yeah, you're right. 75%. Point is, 32% of card pool, 75% of top 8, 6 out of 8 spots. So, just keep that in the back of your head. But,
it's keep in the back of my mind so that we can talk about it when they get banned. I'm going to talk about
that. Yeah. So Sherry ban.
Oh no, because there was one of the rumors is that the reason she didn't get E-banned after Collinsville, which is the logical time to E-ban her, was because they were waiting to see the results of the Japan GP. Be like, no, that's just the U.S. people. We'll wait for the real GP here in Japan with 59 people. That's when we'll figure it out. And so here is identical to Collinsville, except the only difference is there is a little bit higher of a pool of sherry. I think Collinsville was 25% or 24% sherry, and this one's 32%. But both Collinsville and this one was 6 out of the top 8 were sherry. So, do you guys think now they e-ban her?
No, I mean, I don't think they will. I think it's just going to be like, nope, still going to wait it out. Don't worry, these new rulers are really going to catch up to her. That's what's going to be.
They do that, but here's the thing. They've done that. They did that with Reflect Refrain, exact same wording, exact same thought process. They did that with Fox. They did that with Prussia. Technically, they might have done that with Fair, and they were technically right, but not because like the other rules bounced out, just because Sherry was ridiculously on a god level tier compared to Fair. So the fact that if they didn't e-ban her, because I had said back after Collinsville when there's talk that they might be e-banning her, and that it sounded like Jeff was pushing for e-ban. I could be. That's just what I heard from. You know what? I heard that from Jeremy on the stream, so that's Jeremy's fault if I misquote you, Jeff. And when I had talked to Rob, he didn't explicitly say, but it sounded like he was at least hinting that he just submitted, the GP results and all that, and his thoughts on it. It sounded like he was hinting that he was leaning towards a sherry ban as well, and it's basically up to corporate at this point. And so I said if they had e-banned her, that would have brought back, really put faith in the company that they're willing to do something that they technically haven't really done before, which is an e-ban nowhere near any type of rotation and stuff like that. To balance out a ruler, and if they don't do that, then all that tells me is they haven't learned anything. They're just going to keep doing the exact same thing out of stubbornness, honestly, at this point.
Yeah, I think they need an event, because my fear is that, like, if we're going into the next cluster being like, okay, like, these guys need to be good enough to beat Sherry, like, I don't think that's a good power level to be at. So like my thing is, like, I don't know, like,
especially if they're doing lower power. They said they're doing lower power levels all overall, and the rune system is going to be what they use to balance stuff out. Like, oh, this ruler is a very strong ruler to do stronger runes and all that. If you start at power level Sherry and you're trying to make them match that, then you're constantly creating runes to make them the power level of Sherry. And then when Sherry rotates, all of a sudden you're just stuck with these crazy high power levels that you now have to match in the next cluster that is past the point of being hotfixed with runes. And now you're just straight up getting into Yu-Gi-Oh territory, where just everything is god level tiers, very quick games, turn 1 or 2, depending on who goes first. Essentially, is how games are decided. You're playing it into a dangerous thing if you start trying to match other rulers to the power level of Sherry. It
would be very worrying. Like, I'd be worried if they didn't ban her and went into the next cluster with the idea being, hey, these rulers that we release are going to be able to beat her, because, like, I don't know. I think it should just be like, ban her, the next strongest guy out there is, Fair or Gil or whatever, but there's enough, the power level of their decks are below what Sherry's was, so now they can now those rulers can beat out Fair and Gil and those and Lumia and I.
Yeah, I mean, it's already become a joke too, because people who are new to the game are like, hey, I'm new, I'm gonna go to the Denver, Colorado GP. What should I do? What do I need to know? What do I take? Like, well, if you want to win, just take Sherry. Just flat out.
Yeah. And
I think it was discussed between me and Colin that hopefully the company doesn't look and be like, oh, look at the ARG results. Sherry was barely there. It's because everybody was tired of running Sherry. They're like, you know what? Let's just go and let's have fun. Even the top players are like, yeah, no, we're not going to. We made a pact amongst ourselves to not run Sherry, and they went to events not running her. So
yeah,
everybody's just sick and tired of her already, and nobody wants to have to play with her or play against her.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it seems that way. So I think I'm behind a Sherry ban.
I think almost everyone is. The only people not behind it are like the couple trolls on the U.S. group and stuff who are like, oh, it's just because you got to get good. Except, I've said before, I genuinely don't think there's any real deck in the format that could legitimately beat a good Sherry deck with a good Sherry pilot. I don't think that exists currently. Or if it does, it's something that can't beat any other deck besides Sherry because it's so like focused on Sherry. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And even outside of the competitive level, they should ban Sherry. Like you said, people are like, oh, what do I run Sherry? And they're like, oh, if you want to run, just run this ruler. That's a good way to deter new players. That's a good way to kill Blazes. It's not like, oh, it might or it might not. It's happened 4 times now in the Forcible game of a ruler and a deck being so strong that it kills locals and people stop playing the game. We for sure have one person at our locals who is just not going to play the game until Sherry is banned, and so he's a long-time player that's been around since Grimm.
Matter of fact, a lot of people who have been around the game long enough probably already know who he is. Because when he came back, everybody's like, "Oh, hey, welcome back."
Yeah, Jan. That's the reason he's not playing is because of Sherry. It just, and so for another reason, just to keep your game alive, just so hopefully they don't show us that they keep saying that they've learned stuff and are improving, and then they go and show that they haven't. And the example I'd given, I think it might have been on the podcast last week, of like the whole thing where they made the joke in December of like the CEO wrote that article and he's like, haha, force of wind, haha, and they introduced some of the strongest wind cards and rulers we've seen in the entire game. And then they had the recent video where it had the green and it was all power level, and he was trying to put it out like, haha, we get it, green is strong. But if you don't do anything about it, you can make jokes about it all the time. You're the only one with the power to actually fix it. So if you're not fixing it, then you're acknowledging that your game is dying and you refuse to do anything to fix it, essentially, at that point.
I don't think it's that, it's that crazy, but I do think that, like,
it's
banning Sherry is, like, the first step, and then, like, seeing what the next cluster is like, the next step. Like, I think banning Sherry so that we get, like, available cards is good, and then the next rulers in the next set can show us, what the next, how they're gonna, be balancing the colors, like, further on.
Yeah, and actually, it's not specifically like Sherry and all that. It's more, the main thing I'm upset about is like the mindset of the company, really, which is what's driving this. And they can ban Sherry, and then if the next cluster turns out fine, they could unban her. That's not a big deal. But in the interim, like, for every, I don't think it's too much of a stretch to say, like, every week that goes by with the Sherry still in the format, they're losing like 1 to 2 players in the game at minimum. Someone somewhere is stopping to play the game on average, or sees the GP results from Japan and is like, and I'm done, that was the last straw, or dub. There's just statistically that's likely, and nobody's leaving the game if Sherry gets banned. There will be people who are like, oh, you guys are dumb. That was the last straw. You banned the really strong ruler. Now I'm not going to play anymore. Like, that's not going to happen. Like, you're guaranteed to be losing players with Sherry in, but you're not going to lose anyone if it's banned.
I don't necessarily agree with that, because I think people who have Sherry and, who are going to have to, like, sell off their decks or, sell their Sherry cards are going to have to, like, they, would be disappointed.
That's in any card game. I think Force of Will has the smallest ban list per year out of any card game, so people are much more confident already in this game as far as bans go than I feel like any other game. I mean, I haven't been keeping up with Pokemon, so I don't know, but I know it's less bans than Magic for sure, and Yu-Gi-Oh. The weird games I actually don't keep up with.
I mean, Pokemon's bans usually just are for it's extended from, not necessarily it's New Frontiers.
Yeah. But Pokemon's also kind of stubborn too, like Force of Will. To be fair.
Yeah. They banned Wally. I heard about that.
Freaking Wally! Wally's great. I loved Wally. I was so sad. It's like, now I'm never going back into that game.
But I thought it was hilarious how when we played, a lot of the cards that were big are the ones that are getting banned and expanded right now. Like they already did Force Giant Plants. They just did Wally. There's something else I told you about that they banned recently that was from when we played. I forget what it was.
Yeah, I forget. I remember you saying something, but yeah. Speaking of Wally, Wally's apparently in the Flash, but not Legends of Tomorrow, so I'm pretty mad about that.
They brought him back into the Flash, but they took him out of Legends.
Yeah, they put him back in the show that used and abused him, but not the show that treated him right. It's like a bad relationship. It's like, why are you going back to your abuser? Like, what the heck? But yeah, so that's my overall thoughts. If anyone else had overall thoughts.
No, I mean I just want to see a ban happen.
Yeah,
at this point, it just needs to happen. It's like,
yeah, like
bans or butts. Just do it already, or else.
I'm gonna table my thoughts until we see some of the new I want to see a new Sherry ban, but I'm gonna table my thoughts until we see some of the new stuff that's coming out and like what that's all about. So.
Yeah.
Check in with me in like a month or
two. They'd have to do a big info dump. I feel like when the spoilers first start, as far as like instead of just doing here's the first 5 spoilers, I feel like they need to start off with here's like 2 runes for this, 2 runes of that, 2 rulers as examples, and here's a couple cards that sort of coordinate with them, just so it's just like a big like here if it's like Joy is saying, they're like, oh, don't worry, Sherry's super bad, and we should ban her, but we're not going to ban her because it'll be balanced next set, or something weird like that, then they need to demonstrate that off the get-go. Mm-hmm. And even if they demonstrate that, I still hold to they should ban her until the next cluster comes out. But if they're being adamant about that, they need to show why they're adamant about that.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Cool.
So we have a returning theme.
We do. It was mentioned in a podcast from a couple weeks ago in the comment section, and we were like, oh yeah, we haven't done that in quite some time. And that's going to be Ruler of the Week. So we're kind of bringing that back. And as mentioned earlier in the podcast when we started up, rotations in about 2 months when everything's going to leave from Lapis Cluster. So we picked a Lapis Cluster ruler. Joey did. And he picked Charlotte. So we're kind of going to go over the Charlotte ruler, which I have pulled up here. Charlotte Determined Girl. I'll have the image on the screen, but I'll read along it as well. She's a human who has a judgment cost of 2, 1 blue and a void, energize a blue, and she has an activated ability of pay 1 blue, discard a card, and rest target resonator. Now, when she judgments and flips over, she becomes Charlotte, the Mage of Sacred Spirit. She is still a human, 400 to 1200, and this card cannot be attacked. When this card enters your field, draw X cards, where X is 5 minus the number of cards in your hand. When you draw a card, you gain 100 life. And then you have an activated ability of a blue and a void, discard a card, return target resonator to its owner's hand.
I never got why they didn't just say like draw cards until you have 5 cards in your hand or something like that. Like
there was
I
something
thought that's
mentioned
the way
back
Magic
then that was
did.
saying that based on wording, it could work in certain ways to draw more than the given amount. I don't know.
Yeah.
I never sat down and tried to figure it out either, but that's what people gave the excuse of back then at least.
Yeah.
I think it's to give a set, because it says draw X cards, so when the ability goes on the chase, it's like, alright, you're drawing 3 cards, and if it was draw into 5 cards, it might work with the chase where you could do like some sort of shenanigans or something like that.
Right, like it checks when the ability goes off, but like I swear it would be the same thing where it says like draw cards until you have 5 cards in your hand. Like that would be the same. Pretty sure it'd be the same. A bit like I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder if it's the same as Keurig, where Keurig has the gain X counters, X minus 15, right?
That's what I'm thinking.
Japan rule was probably on judgment declaration. It checked and then flipped, as opposed to the way it is in the U.S. or everywhere else in the world, where it's like it flips and then it checks after it starts to resolve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I'm saying like, by the time like for this is an example, it's the same thing. Like by the time it resolves, you will still draw like your cards until you have 5 cards in your hand. So you'll always draw the same amount as if you had X.
Right, but
like,
not in Japan. Is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Because I would play Judgment, flip, in response to the ability, maybe play 2 cards that had instant speed, and then I still only draw how much determined based on when I called Judgment. As opposed to here, we flip, play 2 cards. Then it looks at my hand and goes, okay, draw this much more.
Yeah, because imagine this scenario, Joey. Imagine flipping, and then in response to you entering the field, you now play Arrival of the Hero, which is now 0 cost because you're a J ruler, to destroy a Resonator, play another destroy a Resonator, and then you check and draw or something like that. Like, as an example of like being able to respond to your judgment in a fashion that you would play cards that you wouldn't have otherwise played on your ruler side.
Mm-hmm. But then once the ability goes off, like in your example, Colin, once your ability goes off, it would say draw X, where X is whatever, 5 minus your cards. So you draw the same cards as if, but when the other ability went off, the one that's, that says draw until you have 5 cards in your hand, you would draw the same amount of cards, because once that ability goes off, you're still drawing those cards. I don't know. I do agree, Oscar, you have a good point of, like, in Japanese rules, it would be different, which...
Yeah. And I'm not 100%. I just looked at Carrick and says when this card enters the field, and this one says as this card enters the field. I don't know. Maybe somebody could help clarify it in the comments below. We'll pin that comment so it's clear for everybody coming into it.
Interesting.
But some things that kind of rules that we kind of try to follow when picking our one card that will go with this ruler. We're going to avoid some of the obvious things like things like Tama, Sacred Elf, Melfi, your basic cancels. And a couple of cards we added to it was like Charlotte's Protector, as well as Charlotte, Wielder of the Sacred Spirit, which is a Resonator card. Yeah. Only because, you're working with draw engines and stuff like that, and they have, one of them has her name in it, or they both have her name in it, but you get what I'm saying. Just a few little rules for ourselves to get a little more creative.
Real quick, apologize for there's little kids, I guess, playing in the background.
I asked if you guys could hear them.
It's Joey's children.
I asked you guys
they got louder. They got way louder.
Uh-huh. He's like 3 kids, and they're just going at it.
Yeah, they're just going at it.
Jeez.
All right.
Go parent those kids, Joey.
I'm shutting the windows.
So what is it, 2 cards, right?
We pick 1 card, but because Joey goes first, he only has to pick 1. I pick like 3, you pick 3, just in case the other ones are picked or whatever.
Okay. I say we do 2 cards. Go ahead.
Listen, I have one main pick. You know what? We'll pick 2. That's fine.
Okay.
I'm picking 1. I wasn't prepared for 2.
It's fine. I pick 3 because this is how we've always done it, just in case this gets picked. But mine gets a little help from J Ruler. Shout out to him. Miss him.
So am I going first?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I picked a card that's probably not a good choice, but I picked Heavenly Fruit. It's the black darkness, 1 cost. Discard your hand. You may play Resonators from your graveyard this turn. If a card would be put into your graveyard from anywhere, remove it from the game instead. So my idea is like you can fill up your graveyard, you can play your stuff, and then you can draw 5 more cards with Charlotte after you deactivate. And like I also wanted to look at cards that she would get support coming in like from the new sets and stuff. So like none of the old cards or and I think Heavenly Fruit could slot in pretty well. Like
yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Little black approach to
it. Because especially with her like running like probably like still running Bear Magic and stuff like that, being able to just to dump your hand into your graveyard, but a lot of it might still have Remnant and stuff like that, so you can still be playing from your graveyard even without that card's effect, and then you draw your hand, and so you basically almost have 2 hands.
Like you are probably going to be playing a Charlotte's Protector too, so like this turns into like a 1 mana like cantrip and draw a card, which I think is really pretty good.
Or if you have 4 Charlotte's Protectors in your hand, and you just go poof,
draw. Yeah. It's super good.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah. I wanted to do something with Null, but I feel like all the Null stuff was just not good enough.
Yeah, and Jeff addressed on the Q&A streams, like if a mechanic like Null, it's either you put some effort into it, but then it becomes too powerful, or you don't put enough in there, and it falls flat.
Yeah.
And so he said it fell flat.
Yeah.
Pretty much. It was implied, Colin. Jeez.
I feel like that And see, the problem was, I think that Null was put into red and black kind of, and so the power sets with are kind of off. If you had put Null with maybe blue, so Null mechanics were more like control-y, not like power spikes and stuff like that. It was more like, hey, bounce it, Null, put it at the bottom of your deck, opponent's deck for a resonator. So stuff like that, I think, would make it so Null is actually like could be pretty decent power level with, and it's really hard for it to break a ceiling of how strong it could be by switching it into a different color power set rather than just like red and stuff, which is where you start to ride that line of how, especially with like no darkness and stuff, is really right in that line. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is completely off subject, but I've been racking my mind right for the last few minutes trying to figure out that last Pokemon card. Hexmaniac was banned.
It was banned. Oh,
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So my pick, I'm gonna do honorable mention to Keys' call. Keys' call. Just something kind of cancel some automatics. You're running blue. My approach probably would have been just a mono blue Charlotte deck, anyways.
Gives you more draw power.
Yeah. And my picks are going to go towards a deck that Jay Ruler had built and did a deck profile on once. And I built it, and it was a lot of fun. And he did a Charlotte deck that had Sha Wujing paired with Staff of the Dragonoids. Sha Wujing, obviously, your opponent's paying the 1 extra to play their chance. And then the Staff of the Dragonoids, when you bestow it, gives a Resonator +2/+2 in flying. So all of a sudden, Sha Wujing's like 1,000 attack, and it's flying in. So I thought it was pretty awesome.
It's not bad.
cool. I mean, I don't really see how it like slots into Charlotte, but
yeah, no, I was just thinking about back when I played that deck and how fun it was, because just different things you were doing with it. You already had Charlotte in there, and you're putting Charlotte in, drawing a card. You're constantly drawing cards off of everything in that deck.
Mm-hmm. And I guess like Staff the Dragonoid is like Flying Cloud. Flying Cloud only does Wind Resonation, right?
Right. And this
but it's also
but it's one more.
Okay. Yeah.
For bestow.
It's the same cost, but
yeah, no, it's not bad, I guess.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, not really. You know, I don't know if I'm feeling it, but
I'm just trying to think of. I feel like there's something you could pair with Shaojin. But what's the new one? There isn't. Hold on. I gotta find this now.
The Bokoro guy.
No, Flying Clouds.
Yeah. I guess it's black.
What, Oscar?
I was thinking Flying Cloud is one cheaper.
I thought Staff was one blue and then one blue to equip.
It was a blue and a void. I thought to equip.
Oh, just looking at it.
Oh yeah, no, you are.
Right.
Never mind, it's the same. I'm confused.
I've been looking at all this stuff on my phone. Yeah, dark Bokoro is who you're thinking of, Colin.
Okay.
He could. Your opponent pays one more to play chance during your turn.
Okay. That could still.
Yeah,
just do blue, green, black deck.
I like how I was saying I probably run a mono green Charlotte, and I mentioned Sha Wujing right away.
Yeah, I know. I caught that. Don't worry.
It took me a second to come back.
Interesting.
Yeah. No, I think it's no surprise that my picks are usually kind of crap picks. If you ever watch all the other Ruler of the Weeks, it's always like y'all's reaction is like, okay. Once I picked it.
Real quick, as an honorable side note, I would say if you're going for flavor, you would run Charlotte's Water Transformation Magic and Charlotte's Water Dragon Technique, just for flavor.
So what's your amazing pick, Colin?
Yeah,
Colin's really happened. So I was thinking about it. I was like, well, this would work great. What you do, hear me out. Hear me out. Blue aggro deck, mono blue aggro. Okay.
I was thinking about it.
All right. Yeah, you already thought of the idea. I did.
No. But I was thinking about blue aggro.
Okay. So you can run stuff. You can run stuff.
Oh, I know these ideas.
Yeah, you do. What you do is you run beefy resonators or regular resonators, whatever floats your boat. Maybe beefy resonators. You could throw in a Mosasaurus, maybe. Figure out a way to cheat them in. I don't know. But you run these beefy resonators. Like, man, these resonators are so beefy, but it's a blue deck, man. I wish these resonators could do more than just like sit there with their enter abilities or something like that. I wish they could do more. So what you do is you're able to kill like 6 birds with 1 stone. You use Charlotte's ability. You pay 1 to rest an opponent's resonator. So now their resonator is rested, and this gives you the ability to attack into it if you need to, or to just start hammering your opponent while said resonator is rested. And what you do is you run the 2 picks that I picked specifically was the first one. There it is Willful Samurai Spirit. The only ability you need to worry about is just when this card is put in your graveyard from your hand, target J resonator gains Pierce until end of turn. So you're able to say you have Mosasaurus out, it has 1500 attack, you swing in, they block, you in response you do this to rest one of their other resonators and give them Pierce. And then you also run Misty Dragon Spirit. So Misty Dragon Spirit would be a decent resonator just to have on the field as well, but also use it for ability. When this card is put into the graveyard from your field, target J resonator gains flying until end of turn. So suddenly you're able to start equipping stuff and giving them lots of utility. You could even technically use it on your J resonator. For some reason you need to swing in for 400 attack. But it's just a way to give utility inside of the blue deck on top of utility you're gaining. So you're paying 1 will to rest resonator and give one of your resonators precision or flying or what have you, which I think is a lot of great value depending on what you can do with the deck.
I like it. So that's not what I was thinking, but I swear I spent like 10 minutes trying to find like stuff that does stuff when it's put from your hand into the graveyard, and I swear I like looked at like I googled whatever I googled and I didn't find anything. And now it's like doesn't every single soul doesn't like a bunch of souls do that, don't they?
Just 3 or 4. I think it's just 3.
Maybe it's just those 2 that do it, but I swear I was like looking.
Well, there's 3 for sure. Those are just the 2 I picked.
Yeah, because like
the other one gives precision, but I feel like precision isn't as useful if you're just resting the resonator anyways.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, I definitely like both of those.
Oscar?
Oh, pretty good. I liked it.
I had forgotten that. Like I was looking for stuff that did that, and I didn't find anything. But because I was thinking the Charles Protector was like, I'd forgotten that she's that good, and then so I was like looking for anything else that did that.
That's pretty awesome. And if you need to, you can play Misty Dragon.
So, Colin, what I thought you were saying.
Yeah, that's literally what I said.
Yeah. I'm acknowledging, Colin. Jeez.
We can't. Where I thought you were going for like a second, I thought you were gonna say you play the red dragon and the ice dragon, and so like you draw cards, then you play the blue dragon, and then you like dump all your cards and you play the red dragon, and then you like flip and like draw 5 and play the blue dragon. I was like, that's.
I feel like the bang for your buck is not worth it for the amount of stuff to make that work.
Yeah, I agree.
And I was just thinking, you can also like throw in, like say you're playing Mosasaurus, you throw in a duplication mirror, so you're still sticking with that mono blue, so that you have Mosasaurus in the field, and then for 4 you put in duplication mirror and make it another Mosasaurus, so you're locking your opponent out, and you got another 15 in there that you can also give utility to and stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff within the mono blue format that could almost create a pretty beefy deck, I think.
Yeah. Cool. I like it.
Yeah.
I like mine the most, though.
Yeah.
I like Colin's second the most. I like Oscar's third the most.
I like Oscar's the least. Let's do like Brewer School and let's make a poll. Whose pick do you like the best?
If we ever remember, no, we've tried making polls. You just always forget.
I put them on there though, and we've gotten results.
Yeah, but you always put them on like 8 hours later. You're like, oh yeah, poll.
Once did I do that, and he said I did.
It's like, yeah, because the other time you probably just didn't do it at all.
No, I did it. I'll pull that result up right now because I remember I liked that result.
Put a poll up on how many polls have successfully gone up and how people answer that.
Please don't do that.
Yeah.
And then have a separate poll on how many people saw this poll when the video was first uploaded.
Pretty sure Oscar won one poll that was like, who has a better lighting? And now all of a sudden he's like, I'm the god of polls. I love polls.
Which conveniently is his name outside of this podcast as well.
God of polls, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that's why I like. That's why I picked Staff of the Dragonoid. He's like polls, fucking Staff of the Dragonoid. That's great.
There was one that was like the best looking scrub, and I won that one.
Did you? Have you looked at that recently?
Was there actually a poll for that?
No, there wasn't. So I was like,
Oscar's like questioning everything right now.
We had a poll, and I can't remember what it was. Is why there was something that we did. Wow, Colin, you got 4
there's.
I'm just looking at video.
Wait, what video?
Booster box opening. Winds of Yama's Moon.
What? I have no memory of that. Maybe there's a reason for it.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was like something recent. I was like, what did I do? I haven't even uploaded a video.
Yeah, no, it was the one Melissa opened.
Oh.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure I remember why that one had downloaded.
Well, I don't.
Dislikes.
Well, to be fair, it also has 28 likes, so like the percentage ratio is fine. Once we hit like the 25 mark, usually, then people are like, "Wait, I don't like this." unless it's a gameplay video, then people are like, "Oh, I don't like this at all." Like I just scrolled up and I was like, "Oh yeah, that ratio broke down real quick once we hit gameplay videos."
That's because people hate our gameplay videos. They're like, listen, you guys are good, you guys are cool, but man, you guys suck.
No, I think it's like we need more gameplay videos. Oh man, his gameplay videos are bad. This one guy, thanks for telling me.
I feel like we do get like, man, I feel like that. I won't spoil on who's winning what, but our second game. Because we do best of 3. The second game that you and I did, the upcoming gameplay video of my Panda Bomb deck versus your Shayla Umer combo. The second game of that was like I had said during the video, I was like, this is basically like a chess match where we're just like each doing little moves, trying to coax the other person to do a move, and it's just sort of this back and forth. Like game one, spoiler, was just like over, and then like game 2 is just like goosh of just that's the whole video's game 2. And it's like, really fun.
Our gameplay video is like so bad that when Oscar and I were doing the stream on like Monday, I think, literally.
I was like,
Oscar took a ton of
our
time.
gameplay videos are so bad that M. Night Shyamalan won an award for last year, but I don't know. Some sort of your mama joke, but with M. Night Shyamalan.
Just was like oh, six people watching, 7 people watching, 3 people watching, oh, 4 people was one and then it was like 1 person's watching.
For most that stream, but for most that stream, nobody was watching.
Yeah.
Richard, shout out to Richard for like popping back in every now and then to be like, how's it going?
You guys still doing this?
You guys haven't given up yet?
Right.
But before I forget, for be sure to tune in next week's podcast. We're going to have a special guest on. Yes. It rhymes with, or no, it's similar to Blue Section Loner. But that's pretty fun. We're trying to get him on for a while, so finally nailed it down. So hopefully watch it not work out now, but
yeah, he has a very busy schedule apparently.
Yeah, so we locked something down, and so that'll be coming out. We'll be discussing. Let me pull up the topics we'll be discussing.
I'm waiting on spoilers. We still haven't gotten those, and I
Yeah,
know they lead into them with like here's the artwork, come back for spoilers tomorrow, and man, we still haven't gotten it yet. I'm just still waiting for it. Jeff, what are spoilers? Let us know.
He's like, oh, I left a while ago, guys.
Give spoilers.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. So we'll be talking about. Well, we'll be like talking about sort of his channel, just sort of general stuff like that. We'll be doing Valhalla predictions and a general game discussion. Unless some sort of piece of news comes out between now and the discussion, then we'll pivot into that instead.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
But yeah.
Some other stuff that we've been talking about recently. I don't know how this is gonna play out, but Transformers is a card game coming out.
Oh yeah. Transformers, the card game.
It's coming out.
So, and that's pretty. We'll be having hopefully videos coming out for it where we have an inside man.
John.
Going
John
to Gen Con. No. Victor Harris is. I'm trying to see if he can pick up some of the product that they'll be selling at Gen Con. They're going to be having the Star Decks released early at Gen Con, so we'll try and get our hands on some of that to get you guys some videos before the game is even out on how that all plays out. But it looks really cool. I'm really digging the artwork. If you guys grew up with Transformers, it's like the classic design, but it's like not like, oh, looks like the 80s cartoon, that sort of simplistic look. It's like the 80s cartoon, but very detailed and this sort of cool, actually using shadows and stuff. I don't know. I really dig it. Oscar likes it.
I thought it was cool. The only thing I'm sketch on is just its gameplay. I know it's super simple. I'm just kind of hoping it ends up being a lot more fun, especially as the sets go on and they decide to expand on some stuff that they do.
As far as I can tell, and I told Oscar this, it looks like a less obviously not exactly like it, but kind of like a less random version of Star Wars Destiny. Obviously there's a lot of differences between them if you look at the gameplay, but like that's the closest comparison I can think of. I'm sure there's another good comparison of a card game that I just don't play or something like that, but as far as my knowledge of, like, you have like a certain 25 star limit. Each Transformer is like anywhere from like 6 to 10 stars and stuff like that, and so you can have up to 25 stars filled up with, so you could have 5-star Transformers on your field, or just 2 10 stars and a 5-star, or some combination like that, and they're just always on the field, and it's just very simple, straightforward combat, so it'll be easy for people to jump in, but not like it looks like it's going to revolve a lot around like your 20 card deck and the strategy of cards you want to play versus cards are going to not be, I don't know. It's interesting. You can we'll link in the description below. We have a Facebook page for the Transformers TCG US group, so we'll link that and you guys can join, and there's already a link there for leading to their website where they have the training video and stuff, and we'll be posting updates and stuff on there as well. And there's another group called Transformers Card Game, I believe. Yeah. Is that the name of it?
I think so.
If you just type that in on Facebook, I'm sure that'll come up. It has more people on it, but it's a closed group and it's not a US group, so long term ours will be better.
But yeah, I'm excited for it to come out. Maybe we'll do like a video a week or something on the weekends, something not too crazy. Obviously we still do Force Flow. And I found one of the polls, and I'm just laughing because of the results. It was, who's your favorite scrub?
I remember.
And
pretty sure Oscar won, right?
Yeah. Joey had one vote.
Yeah, I remember. No one likes me.
You don't do enough videos. They don't know.
They don't know you, Joey.
They don't know you.
You never give them the time.
I guess we'll go and wrap it up there. It's right around the 50-minute mark, 40-minute mark.
Yeah.
A slow week, not too much to talk about. Again, the tournament that did happen, just obviously Sherry's dominating. But I don't know. Hopeful for what comes out soon. Hopefully we hear bans. If not, we'll see what Colorado does. Spoilers are probably more exciting than the next GP, I would say. But thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. Bye.
Boop, boop.